This just in here on HQ. 5 days after announcing his hire, Frank Reich is finally stepping to the podium. The Panthers introducing their sixth head coach in franchise history this afternoon. Reich was the starting quarterback for the first game in Carolina history back in 1995. Now one of his biggest needs will be to determine who the Panthers QB will be moving forward. Reich joining forces with Carolina is the first hole to be filled around the NFL when it comes to the head coach. The team that fired Reich, the Colts, still are in search of a head coach. Cardinals and Broncos also have openings, while the Texans could be the next team to make a move. 49ers defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans is the front runner to get the head coaching job in Houston, with NFL Network reporting it could be finalized in the next couple of days. As for Reich, he's in Charlotte, and here he is moments ago.
Frank, Steve Reich from the Associated Press. First of all, welcome back to Carolina. I wonder if you could talk about the roster that you're inheriting here, and as you're going through the interview process, what were your thoughts on the roster? Where do you feel like it needs to get better? What do you see as some of the strong suits?
I think the defense has been obviously a real strong suit, been top level defense. But we're always looking to get better. To be honest, here's what a top 5 defense gives you an opportunity to do. Top 10 defense is going to give you a chance in every game, but a top 5 defense is what really can elevate you as a team. That you can not only be in every game, but you can find a way to win every game when you've got a top 5 defense. So we understand we're in a league that is offensively driven in many ways, but kind of the secret sauce is create and build upon the momentum that we have here, the players, the roster that we have here on defense. Get the right coaches so we have the right scheme that accentuate their gifts. I'm not going to go through player by player. Scott and I have sat down, started to talk about that. There's still a whole lot more study that needs to go, but obviously that stands out. And then offensively was really encouraged as I watched kind of the second half of the season and dig into the tape a little bit. There's so much to build on. The offensive line, the running game. We got receivers that can get vertical down the field. The running backs were strong. Foreman looked strong at the end of the year. That's going to be really important for us to get the ball vertically down the field, continue to build this roster so that we improve in all 3 phases, which of course also brings you to special teams, which were top-ranked special teams, this past year, and we look forward. That's an essential part of a championship caliber football team.
Hey Frank, it's Joe Person with The Athletic. Good to see you. 2 questions. Will you call the offensive plays? And then secondly, did your experience in Indianapolis, will that make you more likely or more convicted to do the draft and develop route at quarterback?
As far as calling plays, I'm going to wait to see that we get the offensive staff together. Obviously, I've always enjoyed doing that, felt like I've had a good bit of success doing that, and enjoy doing that. It feels to me there's a little bit of a trend going away from that. I want to continue to re-examine that, and it just depends on how the staff comes together and the coordinator thing. I'm excited about the prospects of some of the guys that are out there that could be our offensive coordinator. So I'll wait to make the final decision on that. And part B of that question was?
Whether the Indianapolis experience changed your thoughts.
Yep. You got to have stability at quarterback. You want to have stability at quarterback. So the good thing that I've learned in my past experience here, in a few years, is we've learned how to adapt to different styles of quarterbacks, but that's not the ideal situation, right? So we, Mr. Tepper, Scott, myself, have to commit to what's our blueprint, how are we going to maintain stability at quarterback, make a plan, and then execute that plan.
Frank, over to your left, Scott Fowler. How are you?
Hey, Scott.
Glad to see you again. Welcome back.
Yes, sir.
I wonder 2 things. One, if you could give us a couple of the specific 1995 memories you have from here. And then secondly, if you wouldn't mind evaluating a little more specifically the quarterbacks currently on this roster.
Yeah, the memories from that first season, of course, we didn't play here. We played in Clemson. So one of the memories is the bus rides. It's the camaraderie of the players, right? Your teammates. We're on these long, we got home games that we're busing to that are, several hours away, and then traffic coming out of Clemson is, always a little bit slow, even with an escort. But those are great memories. I won't go into the details, but some of the memories of our practice facility that year in the showers, there was a unique showering situation. I'll just put it that way. that was a unique memory. And, you know, the touchdown pass to my friend Pete Metzlar's, of course, first touchdown in Panthers history. You know, I don't have, as a career backup quarterback, I don't have too many highlights. But, to have the first touchdown pass in the team's history is pretty special. And then that first game in Atlanta. We're playing our very first game in team history in Atlanta with, thinking, you're even going to have a chance. And we take the game to overtime. And we ended up losing in overtime, but I'll never forget that first game.
All right, thank you. Phil, Mike Kay, and Ellis Williams, please.
Hey, Frank. Phil Orban from WSOC in Charlotte. I'm over here to your left. I'm curious what it was that brought you to Charlotte and kept you to Charlotte in between your playing career and your coaching career. What drew you to the city?
Introduced our daughters. They were all raised here. We lived here for 13 years before. Transitioning full time. So, one of our daughters, our youngest daughter Hannah, was born here, but they were all raised here, went to school here, high school, the whole deal. So, this was home. This was instantly home for us. We had 10 years up in Buffalo, which were amazing 10 years playing up there, and then I played for 3 other teams as I finished my career. But when we were looking at, hey, where's home base going to be long term? It was the Carolinas. It's always been the Carolinas for Linda and I. Like I said, we've been married a long time. And when we started talking about where do we want home base to be, we just fell in love with this area, with this city. And so this has always been part of the master plan. And then to think I get to come back and do it as the head coach, that's insane to me. So let's go.
Hey, Frank. Mike Kay from the Charlotte Observer. When you got to Indy, it was kind of an unusual circumstance where Matt and a few of those coaches were already in place. I was just curious, what did you learn from your first staff building experience in Indy, and how will that impact building a staff here now?
I thought we built a great staff. We had really good diversity of thought, diversity of personalities, diversity of coaching styles. I think that's important. The chemistry of the staff is really, really important. I think that's one of the lessons learned, as a lot of those guys were very successful and went on to be head coaches and coordinators with other teams, which I think is a good sign that we did our job the right way to start. But then you start losing those guys and you got to replace. And this goes back to Mr. Tepper's point. We had good coaches. We had good coaches in all places. And, but there's still something about chemistry. And that's my job as a head coach to make sure that's right.
Frank. Ellis Williams here, Charlotte.
So that was the Panthers' new head coach, Frank Reich, at the podium being introduced in Charlotte as the Panthers' 6th head coach in franchise history. You see a look at the list of the names who have donned that head coach name for a few times. Steve Wilkes and Perry Fuel serving in an interim status. Matt Rule there at a record of under 500. John Fox and Ron Rivera, the only 2 head coaches in franchise history to finish with a record above 500. They, of course, were also the 2 head coaches who led Carolina to a Super Bowl appearance. And now the Frank Reich era will start in Carolina. Mentioned that you have to have stability at quarterback, but did not go into specifics yet so far about the current Panthers who play QB on their roster. So a lot more to be figured out still there in Carolina.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.